Olá, meu nome é Júlia Guiar, eu sou jornalista e repórter do JM e hoje a gente vai conversar com o querido amigo Ruslan, que ele é russo e está lá participando dos protestos e acompanhando o que está acontecendo. A gente vai fazer essa entrevista em inglês, então confere aqui embaixo a legenda para vocês acompanharem essa entrevista. Então bora lá. Ruslan, can you introduce yourself a little bit? Who are you and which city are you in Russia?
I live in Russia, as Julia said, in St. Petersburg. I can discuss today, I can say about what's going on. Mostly the information goes from media, from both sides. It's very contrary information, which goes from Russian media and from Ukraine. I can explain and I can say about what's happening now on the biggest Russian streets.
Here in Brazil, we are seeing a lot of fake news about it, and a few weeks back, we did an interview with some specialists and people who studied the history of Russian, and one of them is based on Moscow, and he said to us that wasn't a feeling of war between Russian people, that wasn't expecting that Putin really started a war or started an invasion, a military invasion. How do you see this invasion as a Russian person? Was in the media? Was something that Putin was trying to make available for the Russian people, or was like just out of nowhere, like is being said on the international media?
It's a kind of long story. At least it lasts 7 years. It began with Maidan, so-called Maidan, in Ukraine in 2014, and with the Crimea and two cities, Donetsk and Lugansk, annexion. So these 7 years, there was many talks. The people from both sides, politicians, they tried to regulate this with the diplomacy. Honestly, we didn't expect this. Things are going bad, but not that bad. So we didn't expect the invasion to Ukraine.
And why Putin wants to invade Ukraine? What is the reason behind it? We know here in Brazil that have something to related about the gas, right? Some economic reason, but it's a little bit confused for us here in Brazil, because we are in a country that we don't have a lot of connection with the big media in Russia, and it's a little bit like out of nowhere. It seems at least a little bit out of nowhere.
The gas is very big part of our economy, because we sell gas to Europe, especially to Germany. And there was some negotiations to the new gas transfer. They wanted to open it, but now its negotiations are closed. I think it's not the main problem. Misunderstanding between two politicians, between Putin and Zelensky. Zelensky is president of Ukraine. But Putin took a speech, very long speech for 1 hour before they invaded army to Ukraine. The most of his speech was about the history. And he said that Ukraine was created by Lenin. To summarize his point, he said that this nationality didn't exist before the USSR. And it means, from the words of Putin, it means that they own something to Russia, that they should be a part, so to speak, of Russia. He didn't say it precisely, but he explained it through very many words and historical facts. Putin also said that they are moving slowly to the boards of Russia in Eastern Europe. Ukraine is not a part of NATO. He just decided to make the prevent, kind of to show NATO that they are not agree with it. So as you see, it's different facts. They're complicated in one picture. It's I think globally it's the same kind of Cold War between Russia and USA, because Ukraine is supported by Europe and USA, because it's a little country. They have to do it, and Kremlin they doesn't want it. They doesn't like it at all. But the invasion it's too much. But it started with some shootings on the border, and with the different media, Ukraine said that it was provocation from the Russian side. Russian media said that it's provocation from Ukraine side, and nobody knows now. So it happened just maybe 2 or 3 days. Starts shooting, somebody killed, and then declared Putin declared Donetsk and Lugansk part of Russia and invaded army.
How the Russian people feel about this war? Are you ready to be part of Russian army and invade Ukraine, or most of the young people are like, no, we're not going to participate of this war? Reach out to us in the news worldwide media that happened a lot of protests today in Russia against the war.
Protests are taking place now in big cities. You know, Russia is a kind of long country, so we have many time zones. So protests just began maybe several hours ago, and in Moscow and St. P, they are taking place just now. Yeah, a lot of people in big cities, they went to the streets. I can say that it's very hard to speak for maybe even for more people in Russia, because it's very, very big country. But as I see, most of Russians, they don't want war. Because they understand that it's not their war, because many people have relatives in Ukraine, friends, and people just don't understand this war. They don't understand why to make it.
We know there have a lot of neo-Nazis, a little bit of militia. I don't know if you are familiar with this term. It's very used here in Brazil, but it's a parallel military force. There is growing a lot on Ukraine that some of specialists says it's directed to 2014 with the protests in Altamy and all of this big neo-Nazi ideology growing, not only in Ukraine, but the whole world as right wing, it's growing. Russian president, he said the Ukraine is not a neo-Nazi country because they fought against Nazis on the Second War. It's not possible that this was happening, and they can let Ukraine people become Nazi people, because a lot of them fought and have grandparents and parents that fought in the USS Army against the Hitler Army in the Second War too, right? How do you feel about it? Do you think there is something going on that? Is something that concerns Russian people? What do you know about it?
It's a quite complicated question, because this operation, by the way, was called by Kremlin denationalization or something like that, and demilitarization. So it's some complicated words, but the meaning is that from Kremlin point of view, the Ukraine joined the path of Nazis, because they destroyed some Lenin postments, and it was declared, as I know, even by the government, that they choose the uncommunization or decommunization path, to disconnect from the communist path. it's complicated because the post-USSR republics, their story is to disconnect from Russia, and they do it differently. But I think it's just idea was to just just to cut this past from communism from USSR. And it was used by Russian media to blame Ukrainians, like they're supporting Nazis. And I think in Ukraine there are some gradient of people. There are some fanatics or some very hard right wing that says that's even support Nazis from World War II. But some people, maybe there are people that are on the middle. They just don't support communists from the past, and at the same time they don't support the Nazis. Yeah, it's complicated because it's just a mess of ideas like right or left. I think even the Ukrainians itself, they just lost in these ideas.
How do you expect the few weeks from now will be? Do you think can become a really war, like the whole world being against Russia and maybe have some bombs or stuff like that and become a third world war? Or do you think things will be step by step being calm and Russian government will be declaring Ukraine as part of Russian? Or what do you expect to happen?
I think in my point of view, as I see what's happening, I will repeat that in Ukraine media and in Russian media, it's very contrary information. In Russian media, I see the information that some city is landed by Russians, and in Ukraine media, they say that it owns Ukraine. So we just lost in information, but I think as if I see these videos, and I think that there's very high probability that Russia will take Ukraine, and it will be really shocking for all of the world. I think the United Nations, the leaders of Western world and even Eastern world of some countries, they don't want war because people just learned it. It's the statement that the Third World War, if it will be led by nuclear weapon, the force will be led by sticks and stones. So people, I think most of the people in Earth, they understand it, but there are some fanatics. So it's really hard to think about what will happen because we didn't expect this invasion. I don't think that Kremlin will invade other countries from NATO because he understands that it will, to which it will lead, because the US will connect and all of the Europe. I think the goal is to just kind of show the power to NATO.
Some of the biggest presidents of the world, like Joe Biden and the president of UK and a lot of other leaders, are saying they are going to put some economic restraints on the Russian economics, right? Do you think this will have a big impact on the life of the Russian people? How do you expect to be the future of Russian community with these economic restraints?
Today and yesterday, Biden and all other leaders, they started to make these sanctions, and already ruble reached the historical minimum compared to US dollar and euro. I think there are gonna be hard times, even harder, a lot harder than it was during COVID. and already in some in some little cities, maybe villages, people, as I can see, they already, it's not a hunger, but it's very close to it.
Economics is a very big important case on this scenario, because we are not just only watching Ukraine's people suffering, but we'll probably watch Russian people suffering too. But Putin have a very strong economy inside Russia. Russian already face economic sanctions of the world and don't have a big interest on other countries like USA and other partners of United States, and they still are able to make a little bit, at least for our side of point of view, a stable economy. Do you think he's thinking of that too, and maybe we'll be able to stop the people of Russia to face a very big economic crisis?
My perspective is that there will be a huge economic crisis, and as a Russian citizen, I see that our economy is not stable. It's unstable, and in big cities, people live a little bit maybe close to Europe, but again, it's only maybe St. Petersburg, Moscow, and maybe one or two cities. Other cities, they live in poverty. People they have to, for example, buy cars and apartments in credits for many years, and the average salary is very low in Russia. So yeah, there's gonna be more, I think. So about the sanctions, yeah, it's gonna affect, because banks will have to face the sanctions. They will lose money.
Ruslan, do you have any words to say about what do you expect, or what do you want to say to Brazilian people that doesn't understand what's happening and feel a bit of afraid for our comrades and for people who really struggle not only against capitalism but against the war? We here are talking a lot about putting together communities and groups that ain't anti-war, so we can support not only Russian people but Ukrainian people that are struggling with this situation. And I think it's really important for us to maintain an international union of people, of working people, because in time like this, union is the only thing that can save us, poor and workers class in general.
I can say that the power itself is a very big drug, and I think people maybe don't realize it, how much problem it is, because I think it's maybe more important problem, more dangerous drug than even the physical drugs, like chemical drugs. And when some people they have power, they can go mad just several days, and maybe so. Yeah, what I can say to Brazilians, and the second most important thing that I should say, Russians don't want war. It's a very tiny group of militarists and politicians. They are interested in this war, and we struggle with this too. We try to make something, but it's very hard, because people are arrested, people are beaten, people are tortured. Yeah, it's very complicated, and I think the most important thing that we can do is not to escalate the conflict, not to escalate further war conflicts in the world.
Thank you so much, Ruslan, for having us and talking to us, and especially for showing Brazilian people what's really happening, at least a little bit more. And we want to thank you a lot and hope that you stay safe, and all of your friends, family, and beloved persons stay safe in this difficult time. And know that our newspaper are always open to welcome you, so you can spread your voice and to make any type of strength, so we can battle this together as a union, international union. And we hope you stay safe. Anything you need, we will be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I hope there will be peace on earth for all the people.